For today's devotional, we want to look at Joseph in Genesis chapter 37, his brothers, and what they did to him. So I will use this session to do a little explanation, teaching moment on soul care on the subject wounded by people, preserved by God. Wounded by people, preserved by God, looking at Joseph's struggles or woman's struggle, emotions, hatred, and what we can learn from it. What we can learn from it. Wounded by people, preserved by God. Let's go straight into the scripture. Genesis chapter 37, verse 18 to 24. This is after Joseph a dream about what God was going to use him for, and he has told his father Jacob and his brothers as well. And the scripture made us to understand that they began to demonstrate hatred and plot against him. So let's go to the scripture. I'll read very fast. Genesis chapter 37, verse 18 to 24. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Here comes that dreamer. They said to each other, come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns, and say that fallacious animal devoured him. Then we will see what comes of his dream. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into this cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay hands on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, an ornate robe he was wearing, and then took him and threw him into the pit. The pit was empty, there was no water in it. Wounded by people, preserved by God. Some of the deepest wounds in life are not caused by strangers. No, they are not caused by strangers. You are listening to me this today. I want to repeat. Some of the deepest wounds in life are not caused by strangers, but by people we trusted, people that you've trusted. These people could be a spouse, could be a family member, a friend, not just a friend, sometimes a best friend that you share everything with, or a leader, or a unit commander, or somebody you call a colleague. And when this relationship break, the pain can feel unbearable. The pain can feel very unbearable. Joseph knew that kind of pain. He wasn't attacked by his enemies, according to the scripture, from the very beginning. He wasn't attacked by his enemies. He was betrayed by his own brothers. Talk about betrayal. He was betrayed by his own brothers. This morning or today, as you join me for this impact devotional, you've been wounded by people, but it's my prayers that may God continue to preserve you. If you look at the scripture, Joseph's brothers conspired against him. strip him of his robe. When somebody is being stripped of his robe, that means his garment was taken off. And our garments, our clothes, our shirts, our trousers, our pants is a symbol of what? Your identity and your dignity. And he spoke of killing him. I don't know any pain that is so painful like being betrayed by your own family members, your somebody you call your best friend, somebody that you've trusted. And it did not end it there. They plotted to kill him. So the dreamer, that was Joseph, was targeted because of his calling. Because of what? Because of his calling. And we often ask, why did this happen to me? Why would they do this? What did I do wrong? Those are the questions we ask when we begin to experience this bitter experience. Why did this happen to me? Why would they do this to me? What did I do wrong? Sometimes the wound is not a result of your failure. It's not a result of something you've done wrong, but of other people's brokenness. Wounded by people, preserved by God. It was through the brokenness, the insecurity of Joseph's brothers. If you look at the father, he was okay with it. But the insecurity of his brothers that caused them to do that. Let's talk about the pit experience. In the verse 24 of Genesis chapter 37, it reads, and they took him and threw him into the pit. The pit was empty, there was no water in it. Let's consider the emotional parts of this scripture. They put Joseph into a pit. Darkness, he experienced darkness in a pit. Probably you are experiencing darkness. He experienced isolation because he was in a pit by himself. Fear, a young boy, you've been put in a pit. A young man, your struggle, there's a fear. Loss of control, these are part of human experience. Uncertainty, will somebody come and rescue me? And silence. Probably you're experiencing all this in your life at this present moment. Darkness, isolations, fear, loss of control, all because of wounds, because of pain, because of betrayal. One moment, Joseph had a future, just like us, or just like you. Last year, you had a future, but today, because of your diagnosis, The next moment, he was in a pit. Wow. One moment, he had a future. The next moment, he found himself in a pit. Many people in the hospital feel like they are pit. Many people in the hospital. A medical diagnosis changed everything. You are listening to me this morning. You had a good health, excellent health. Whenever you go for your medical checkup, everything looked good, the marriage looked good. And all of a sudden, you were diagnosed with a terminal sickness. This morning, I pray over your life. I speak over that diagnosis that may the Lord Himself intervene. A life event pulled the ground out, and all of a sudden, you're lost of independence. You have to depend on someone because of betrayal. Waiting without answers, very difficult moments. If you've gone through waiting without answers, part of human experience, you've been wounded, and when sometimes you get wounded, you have to wait. You feel unseen. Look at the pit experience you are going through at this moment. Yes, you didn't choose it, and so therefore you can't escape on your own. But I pray for God divine provision. Just as the Lord delivered Joseph, may you be delivered. Let me talk about the Reuben factor. The Reuben factor in the crowd. The Reuben factor in the crowd. When you read the verse 21, the scripture says, when Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the pit here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. That's the Reuben factor. Not everyone agree with the violence. Not everyone agree. God often praises one voice of mercy in hostile situation, in dangerous situation. God will always, and sometimes you are listening to me, that voice could be you. It's not always you are the one going to be the one going through the difficulties. It could be the voice that has to rescue that brother. It could be that voice. God may send a nurse, and you might be the nurse. He may send a doctor. He may send a chaplain. He may send a friend. He may send a stranger. It could be just one small act of care. Probably you are listening to me. You find yourself in a group that all everything they plan against people, against a brother, against a cousin, against a co-worker, and it is full of evil. You could be that Reuben. It could be that Reuben who will be able to say, don't shed a blood. It could be that Reuben. It could be that Reuben. Reuben was in the crowd, but he chose not to. The passage never say God spoke. No miracle occurred, and no angel appeared, yet Joseph survived. Joseph survived. That tells us that God's presence is not always loud, but it is always rare. The pit was empty, but it was not deadly. Joseph was wounded, but was not destroyed. You may not see immediate healing, or you may not get instant answers. You may not have a clear purpose, but your survival itself can be evidence of God's preservation. If you are still here, and if you are still listening to me this morning, it means God is not finished with you yet. I want to repeat. If you are still here and you are listening to me, that means God is not finished with you yet. They might have planned evil against you, but God said, I'm not done with you yet. As I bring this podcast to a close, if you look at Joseph's story, there is a pit, slavery experience, prison, palace, and saving nations. None of that would have happened without the pit. So let's avoid saying everything happened for a reason. Instead, God does not cause evil, but He can redeem what people meant for harm. In Genesis 50, verse 20, I quote, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." You may have been wounded by people, but God has preserved by God. Your story is not over. Your identity is not defined by what happened. God still sees you. The pit is not your final address. The pain, yes, is real, but so is God. If the pain is rare, then God is also rare. What wounded you does not own you. The betrayal does not own you. The pit did not cancel your identity. I pray for you today. You've been wounded by people. You've gone through pain. You've gone through difficult moments. But I pray that may the Lord continue to preserve you. You are there listening to me. You can also be that Reuben. God placed Reuben in a very strategic position. You may be that Reuben. You want to ask yourself, who is that person that God has put me in a strategic position to advocate for? Reuben advocated for Joseph. I pray that may the Spirit of God advocate for you as you advocate for others. I pray for you today. May you be blessed. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord let His face shine upon you. God bless you. If this podcast has been a blessing to you, you may like, share, and subscribe. Peace and blessing to you all. See you again another time. Goodbye.